Guess he's the heartbeat of this team, Anish.
And he's got a great nickname. They call him Magoo. Jim Lafredo, Andrew Smith, Noah Downs, the officials. Luke Engelke for Duke, John Mullen for Syracuse at the faceoff X. Mullen moved, so it is Duke ball. That means John Mullen cannot take the next faceoff for Syracuse. And the Blue Devils go to work. Second meeting of the season between these two. Duke beat Syracuse a few weeks ago, 11-7. Orange has struggled with turnovers in that game, and Duke's offense woke up in that game, especially the attack. Eric Molliver, 0 and white, had 5 goals in the win against the Cuse.
I think you're going to see a little different approach here today from the Blue Devils, though. They really are starting to lean on their midfield, and Tomas Delgado getting inserted in the offensive lineup. What I love about it is it's going to free up Sloat or Johnson to dodge against the short stick and get the ball off ball movement. So you're really taking your horses and putting them in the most impactful positions on the field.
Sloat took the last shot. Here is Delgado, dumps it back to Sloat. Johnston looking to retrieve. The starting attack for Duke. 2 and white, who has the ball? Andrew McAdory. He's got some shake. Flanked on attack by Molliver and the freshman Liam Kirschus. Molliver, second in the ACC in points, behind Joey Spallina of Syracuse. Feeds to Sloat, tough angle, shot blocked by Dwan, and it's picked up by the Orange.
Nice defensive set for Syracuse.
You got to be careful here. Sam English, 15 in blue, two-way player.
And look, I think that's a recipe for success for Syracuse. They're going to have to get a couple goals in transition in the substitution game.
Owen Hiltz, 5 goals Friday, and he opens the scoring on Championship Sunday.
And I think this right here, all the results of a solid defensive possession for Syracuse. Locking down the Blue Devils right here. You know, at the end of the shot clock, low quality shot. And then they push in transition, and right there again, this is where they're going to have to exploit too, because again, I think on the 6-on-6, they don't match up that great. But in the middle of the field, when you have an English, when you can pick it up and push it in transition, you're going to get some opportunities. And Hiltz and Spallina and Thompson, like as good as it gets in creating a transition.
Michael Leo, who had a couple of assists on Friday with the helper. And Syracuse 7-3 this season when scoring first. Engelke wins the faceoff. Over to the wing, low shot Molliver, saved by Jimmy McCool. The backup belongs to Syracuse. McCool, a career-high 20 saves in the win against Notre Dame Friday.
We had a great angle from our vantage point right here that like McCool takes up so much of the cage. Like he's got a really wide stance and he comes out like there was nothing for Molliver to shoot at there. Like he blocked the entire cage.
How does that impact you, Matt, as a shooter?
It can get in your head, right? Like when I would shoot and try to do my best, like I almost like try to block the goalie out, but when he's that big and you can't see any net behind him, you can't help but focus on him and you lose your accuracy as a result.
In goal for Duke is Patrick Jamison. He's played well in conference games this year, 57% against the league foes. Second midfield getting run for the Cuse. Tyler McCarthy, 13 in blue. Now Wyatt Hoddle and Peyton Anderson are the big 6'3" freshmen, 88 in blue. Duke defensively amongst the best in the country. 27, Charlie Johnson has played like an All-American. 23, Aiden McGuire, ACC Co-Defensive Player of the Year, arguably the best short stick D-midi in Division I.
And I like Spallina here to initiate. He's got the short stick matchup.
Spallina behind the pass, Thompson, save Jamison on the shot by McCarthy, who's just 2 for 25 now shooting on the season. Shot clock, though, resets.
That was really good offense from Syracuse. You get Spallina, who's such a good passer when he's matched up against the short stick.
McGuire got the best of Hoddle, but it looks like they may flag him for it. You got Aiden McGuire, who's built like a tank, 6'3", 210. Hoddle, 5'7", 150.
And this is that crowbar defensive posture McGuire's known for. And quite frankly, to me, it looks like it's pretty good defense. He's just a little too physical. It throws Hoddle to the ground, right? Like he's not even hooking. Like that's a shoulder or a fist to his shoulder that pushes him down. It unfortunately for McGuire, he's just a little bigger, right? And he kind of manhandled Hodel there, but.
Man up offense for Syracuse, among the nation's best. Top 10, Duke in the bottom 5 in man down defense. Here's Finn Thompson. Over to Spolina, low shot, save. Jamison, ball loose near the crease. Wilson able to scoop it up, lost it. Johnson near the end line, he's ambushed. The Orange able to win it back. Spolina, the ACC's points leader. Thompson behind the back, Spolina doorstep. That was a Bugs Bunny changeup that went wide. There's Michael Leo now from goal line extended. That's going to stay with Syracuse. Jamison got a piece, so it's now a long defensive possession early for Duke. And remember, Duke played the late game on Friday, less rest. We had a weather delay in the early game Friday. English can't catch it clean. Defended well by Christmas. Duke counters. Connor Nolan, the freshman, 6 and white. Oliver skips it up top. Matt Christmas, he's a threat with the pole. Kershus behind the cage. Now McAdory, dangerous from the wing. McAdory has yo-yoed between attack and midfield this season. Duke, for much of this season, has been tinkering and trying to figure out what the best mix is with their top 6 offensively. Cusalito, part of that second midfield. Out there with Papendick. Graham Blake running on. Duke using the sub game. Here comes McAdory. Squeezes inside, missed the cage. The backup to Molliver.
Syracuse looking physical on defense. All over the field, right? Like the attack unit there on the ride, putting Duke players on the ground. And here defensively, every shot, you can hear it up here in the booth that they are making contact.
Cusalito, the Providence transfer, picked up by Grace on the switch. Papendick eyes up Ochoa, shot clock inside of 15. Papendick, who's played attack in midfield this year, gets top side, turns the corner, missed. Shot clock at 5, now they say reset. McCool got a piece.
A fantastic save from McCool, throwing his right foot out to deflect that.
McAdory slips. Here comes Kershus. Plays it to the crease. Cusalito misses. He's 0 for his last 18. Hasn't scored in almost 2 months. We're going to get a procedure call. And it's against Duke.
Quick ground ball effort there from number 35, Billy Dwan.
Now, Matt, we've seen it defensively for Syracuse at their best this year, and the 2 games against Notre Dame come to mind. It's when they've been bullies and when they've played physical.
They're big.
It's over and back.
It's sloppy turnover there from Syracuse as Duke's gonna look to counter. And again, we were hitting on earlier, hey, like Duke's, Syracuse is gonna have to create offense in transition. Based on the 6-on-6 sets here, I think you can make the same argument that Duke's gonna need to look to push the tempo of this matchup.
He got the sun out. Short turnaround. How much will these teams be able to run? That's why championship week across all conferences, that's your dress rehearsal for championship weekend when you play Saturday, Monday. Here comes Tomas Delgado. A hat trick Friday night. Got the step. Spins it to X. Pass is knocked down. A sea of blue. It's picked up by Grace. Up ahead, Kaczynski. Trying to avoid Delgado. Syracuse brings it across the midfield line. Both teams struggling to shoot early. The Orange 1 for 5. The Blue Devils 0 for 6.
And Delgado there, I think, had an opportunity as Syracuse looks to push in transition with Roa here.
Here comes Roa. Cranks, save Jamison.
And again, I don't mind that from Syracuse. Like, maybe not the best executed shot, but I think an okay one to take in the middle of the field.
Curtius. Now it's Andrew McAdory, a first-team All-American midfielder last year. Now, Matt, in this game, you've got maybe the top two midfield prospects for the PLL draft in McAdory and Sam English.
And very different games, right? I mean, Sam English, kind of your do-it-all midi. You know, I think perfectly suited for the PLL. And then again, McAdory, I think he will find his way back to the midfield at the next level. Kind of be that shorts, that attackman approaching offense against the short stick D middies.
Duke probing the Syracuse defense. Papendick, McAdory, his shot blocked by Figueres.
The ground balls, the effort is coming up orange. I mean, they are diving everywhere, throwing their bodies around. Every 50-50 ball coming up for the Cuse.
Grace, there's English. That ball popped out of his stick awkwardly. It's picked up by the Blue Devils. Menendez up ahead to Blake. Let's see if Duke wants to run. Christmas has 7 goals this year, 37 in white. Now McAdory.
And if I'm Duke here, I'm going back to Tomas Delgado. You know, his last dodge, I thought he should have pulled the trigger. He threw the pass back to McAdory. Now I'm like, go initiate. I mean, look at his burst.
And he can stretch the field. He's got an outside hammer. Here comes Delgado. Boy, is he cooking. Tomas Delgado, have yourself a weekend.
I'm kind of trying to formulate my thought. I'm like, you watch him play, why has he not played all year? Like, he is a freak athletically, incredibly skilled. Right here does a nice job pushing in transition. Now he gets him in the substitution game, and now he's running with a head of steam. Perfect placement to the far post. Look at this accuracy.
Against Syracuse in Durham, Eric Molliver, game-high 5 goals. Duke shut out Syracuse in the first and third quarters. The Duke defense put the shackles on Syracuse, forced the Orange into 18 turnovers. Patrick Jamison, steady Eddie in the cage, and Duke with a very workmanlike 11-7 win. You look at the coaches, Gary Gate, greatest player of all time, now in season 4 at Syracuse. It was a Syracuse team that came into the year with championship weekend aspirations. John Danowski, winningest coach in Division I, 3 national championships. And Matt, we're seeing an old Duke refrain under Danowski play out over these last few weeks. They're getting better as we get into May, and we're now in May. And if we see the Duke team over the next few weeks that we saw on Friday night, they're capable of playing with anybody, they're capable of beating anybody.
Look, their ball movement, and when you combine that with the athleticism that they have, it's almost impossible to defend, right? Like, look, I think their attack maybe isn't what it has been, but that's okay if you can initiate in the midfield. Like, I think the best teams typically do that anyway. Even Notre Dame last year got the party started out of the midfield.
Duke's defense in the 6-on-6 has been sublime. English wants it. He's got an angle, puts it on cage, missed the cage. Now Syracuse, Finn Thompson saying that Jamison got a piece. That is not the ruling. Shot clock does not reset to 60. Spallina, the ACC points leader, wears the fabled 22 jersey, and he draws Duke's top long pole, Charlie Johnson, 27 in white. Leo checked by McGuire.
This is a big matchup to watch, right? I mean, against Notre Dame, Leo very effective initiating.
Great passing. Finn Thompson couldn't finish.
It's great offense, though. Syracuse doing a nice job. Leo and Spallina getting the 2-man game.
Now let's see the clear getting dangerous. Jamison and Thompson in a battle for the ball. Duke's got to get it across midfield before that shot clock hits 60. Johnston able to get it across in time. Here comes Johnston.
Yeah, what's interesting about Tomas Delgado, I think it's fair to say a star is born, but before the season, Coach Danowski wasn't really sure where to put him on the field. They thought maybe he was going to be a defensive midi. Well, I think he's made a good case for the position he's in now. 6 points in the last 2 games after just 2 points in the first 23 career outings as McCool makes a save.
Yeah, Dana, we're watching it there. He seems to be able to get to his shot whenever he wants.
Every time.
And shot ready, too, right out of the dodge. But it's interesting because McCool's a lefty goalkeeper. That presents a different wrinkle for shooters.
Yeah, Matt, what does that do when you have a southpaw in goal?
Look, I think a good shot's a good shot, right? Like, I mean, obviously you have your scouting report of what goalies' tendencies are to do. So, you know, again, I'm just more impressed. Like, I know you mentioned, hey, like, we didn't know where to put him before the season. They didn't know where to put him 2 weeks ago. Right? Like, he's now found his way. And look, to me, he's been by far the best and most effective Dodger for Duke the last 2 games.
He talked to Dana at halftime of the game Friday night and looked
awesome.
like a kid in a candy store.
It was awesome.
Getting the opportunity to be interviewed in the ACC tournament.
And what did he do, though? He thanked his teammates, you know, like, when you're a big-time recruit and you go to school and you don't have the success early on, like, it's an easy excuse to complain and blame other people. Like, you don't get the sense of, like, he put in the time, he put in the energy, and now he's able to make an impact, and he's better off for it, and so are the Blue Devils.
McAdory gives Duke the lead.
The offense puts it in the back of the net, but this all starts with Duke on the defensive end, causing the turnover, and then getting it up in transition. And then again, this is all unsettled offense. When you have a great defense on the 6-on-6 like Syracuse does, you have to find those moments to get the easy opportunities in transition and the substitution and the slow breaks. And right there, Maliver to McAdory pulling it off with ease.
Mullen wins the faceoff. Now Luke Angelkey, amongst the faceoff men Duke will employ, he's been getting the bulk of the opportunities there. Yeah, you'll see Ben McCarthy, you'll see Cal Girard. Now, the one thing about Angelkey, which we've noticed, when he's been going up against some of these top-flight guys, the Brady Wambachs, the John Mullins, he holds his own. He's got a pretty good counter.
Yeah, look, I think he's been awesome. I also think Duke Girard, the first matchup against Mullen, had a lot of success, right? So if you don't have the dominant one, if you have a really good one and then some complements that can disrupt the Mullins, the Lynches, you can battle to 50-50, and that's what they've done against Syracuse so far this season.
Here comes Anderson. 9 goals on the season. He's become a physical presence that can play attack and midfield. Only a freshman. On that second to midfield with Hoddle and McCarthy, who's got the ball. McCarthy gets inside and scores. Just his 3rd goal of the season. He hadn't scored in any of his last 7 games. So we're seeing some unlikely heroics this weekend. McCarthy for the Orange, Delgado the last 2 games for Duke.
Tyler McCarthy, the sophomore, gets the matchup against Aiden McGuire and gets the step. And you can see McGuire kind of, we'll take a look here. I think McGuire maybe tweaks his knee a little bit. You can see him here after a nice move, shifty move from McCarthy, beating probably the best short stick defensive player in the country. But I think that's something to keep an eye on. McCarthy, to me, looked a little banged up after that defensive effort.
McCarthy, a Long Island kid, grew up playing with the Spallina brothers. His club coach was Joe Spallina, dad, who will now be part of the PLL this summer as well. McGuire's on the bench right now for Duke. Could just be a breather. There's Roa. 2-2 game, final minute, quarter number 1, ACC tournament final. No automatic qualifier, but both Duke and Syracuse look to safely be in the tournament field. Oh, great passing, great stick work, and Finn Thompson makes it 3-2 Cuse.
Syracuse in the first matchup did not have a lot of success in the 6-on-6. So far today, I love the product they're putting on the field on the offensive end. Again, all starting with the wing dodges. We get it over to Leo. Now we have Spallina behind, getting the feed from Leo. Finn Thompson, the nice cut to the back door, and then the touch pass and the twister. Syracuse, I think as the season's gone on, has gotten better on the 6-on-6. And I love when Spallina, even if he can't win the one-on-one matchup, is involved in the offense, dodging, off ball, being smart. Like, he's so talented that when he plays like that, Syracuse is hard to keep off the board.
Meanwhile, Mullen has won 4 straight faceoffs. McGuire back in for Duke. Matt, the formula for Syracuse Friday against Notre Dame was a lot of make-it-take-it lacrosse with John Mullen. They would score, Mullen wins a face-off, and they'd go back and score. Anderson had a good look there.
And Syracuse doing a nice job moving the ball from the wings behind X. And again, when you're an X attackman, now you can see the entire field. And they're timing their cuts, they're putting accurate passes on. And right there, Anderson probably wishes he had that one back.
10 seconds. Otto's got to go. Now it's Spallina. Inside roll not there. Behind the back pass, the shovel, the shot. And Spallina down, helmet off. 1.6 seconds to go. Duke ball. We have played a quarter here in Charlotte. Syracuse with a 3-2 lead on Duke in this ACC championship.
An action-packed first quarter. Early on, nice defense from Duke, or excuse me, Syracuse clamping down, and then Delgado.
Just beat this guy and scored. So just team play is the key. Play like a team and stick together.
Fun to watch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Manish Shroff, Matt Ward. You heard from Dana Boyle with Gary Gate there a moment ago. Matt, I've heard you say this. I've heard Jules Henningberg say this. Syracuse, when they pass the ball, they don't need to draw slides. They can pass guys open.
Yeah, look, offensively, all 6 players they put on the field are as skilled as anybody else. But again, I think they're adding a little wrinkle now, more so than early in the season, where they are kind of getting that initial dodge to put pressure on the opposing defense. And once they start sliding, it's over. Right, at Syracuse, if Jamison didn't stand on his head in that first quarter with 6 saves, Syracuse up by more than 1 goal.
Mullen jumped. Cal Gerard was at the face-off X for Duke. So the Blue Devils can tie the game here. Down 3-2. 7 tickets punched yesterday, 3 more today. ASUN, Patriot League, and Ivy will crown its champion. Those all have AQs. ACC crowns a champion, no automatic qualifier. Johnston rolls back, shot, save. Figueres vacuums.
And I like that effort from Johnson. But if I'm Johnston, you got to be able to shoot that one high. As a goalie, when they're going to their offhand, 90% of the time you know they're going low. And so you can see McCool reading that early, went low. No matter how hard you shoot, if the goalie is matching you body to your release point, they're going to make that save. So I'd love to see Johnson be able to change up his shooting and try to hit that one to the top portion of the cage.
Leo against Nolan, trail check, dislodged. And now English marked by the freshman Menendez, 13 in white, number 2 recruit coming out of high school. English has played like a first-team All-American, 2-way midi. Roa spins it back to X. Spallina playing hangman with Johnson. Now Jamison comes out of the cage. Spallina tries to turn the corner. And to the backup to Syracuse and English.
Spallina's doing a nice job off ball, getting Charlie Johnson hung up in front of the cage. And if you can get Spallina with his hands open, patient, able to feed, having to come at him at bad angles, he's going to make you pay.
There's Finn Thompson, missed some time early in the season. Did not play in the first meeting against Duke. Leo trying to keep it in bounds, does. Now we'll hit the turbo boost. Leo feeding to Hills, comes back to Roa. Shot clock expired before they could get that last shot. 5 turnovers for the Orange. Aiden McGuire. And we get an offsides. So no flag, and just a turnover. Dana?
Yeah, costly turnover, especially with Duke back on defense. Aiden McGuire, we saw him come out in the first quarter. He just needed a breather on the bench. He sat there for a few seconds, gathered himself, and he's going back in. Appears to be just fine, but he logs a lot of minutes. I'm wondering how sustainable is that as we push further into the postseason?
Yeah, Matt, you think about the mileage being logged by McGuire. Part of that, I would imagine, coaches have to know what their personnel is capable of.
Yeah, I think they have a good pulse, and again, Duke isn't really lacking for depth at that position, so they need to. I think in those big games, they can give McGuire a breather, but again, I don't know, he's a freak. I don't think you're gonna be able to get him off the field.
I don't think he wants to come off the field either.
I mean, in the first game against Syracuse, he was 2-2,
yeah.
right? He can get the party started in transition as well.
He had the game-winning goal in what is now a big win against Richmond. And again, Duke offsides. So that's twice now on back-to-back possessions. Jamison, meanwhile, off to a strong start in the cage. He's 6 out of 9. Had an outstanding freshman season last year for Duke. Another run for this second to midfield. Hoddle. That pass tipped. McCarthy guarded by Jack Gray, underrated defensive midfielder. Using the pick. Hoddle, feet in front, Thompson. Now the long poles got to him. Keith Boyer, number 11, altered the shot.
But again, good offense, well-timed cut from Syracuse. Again, when you're playing against a team like Duke that is so well coached on the defensive end, that's always playing great position, sometimes offensive opportunities get thwarted just by good placement on the defensive end like Duke did there.
Papendick, harassed by Kakemo. Here comes Cusolito, part of that second midfield. Third leading scorer at Providence last year, playing for Bobby Benson. Providence, a participant in the Big East tournament this year. Now Graham Blake. Had 2 goals in the semifinals, 31 in white. Oliver, the Maryland transfer, Duke's top scorer. Defended by the RIT transfer, Michael Grace. Grace lost his stick. He's going to have to run off. Duke's got a man advantage here until Syracuse gets its personnel on. Blake swims under. Ball's loose. McCool picks it up. Orange caught a break. Nope. We're going to get a loose ball hold. It's going to go back to Duke.
McCool.
Carnage in front.
McCool out of the cage, arguing with the refs. I think he thought there was interference on the previous possession.
Yeah, there's still a stick on the field. Now the referees move it. Here comes Blake down the alley. Stops. Dumps it back to Papendick. McAdory. Shaded by Figueres.
Low to low against McCool will not work. He's too good in the cage. He reads the release points too well. You have to change planes. I love a high to low shot. You don't see as much of that in college lacrosse anymore.
No.
Right? Everyone's got the sidearm, the elevator shot.
Oliver denied the angle. McCool got a piece. They want to get the stick off the field. We get a timeout. Syracuse wants a timeout. 9:15 to go. Second to quarter.
And Oliver here with the Swim move behind X, gets a step, changes planes. He thought it went in, but Mr. Reliable, the iron, keeps it out of the back of the net.
More than a decade, Ohio State has not won an NCAA tournament game since 2017 when they were national runner-up. The Buckeyes are a team, they might be looking at a potential top 4 seed after winning the Big Ten last night.
I think they deserve it. I mean, if you look at the product they put on the field, I mean, their defense is phenomenal, but then they're also getting some offensive production now that they weren't maybe early in the year. So they can put a decent offense with that defense to get like that. That's a tough team to beat.
I think some of the questions for the committee, top 3, Ivy winner, Maryland, Ivy loser. I think that's how it probably shakes out. If Ohio State is 4, then who's 5? It might be the winner of this game, the ACC tournament champion. Penn State might be a 5 or a 6. And then again, those last few spots, who gets the 7 and the 8? Who gets that first round home game? Is Notre Dame going on the road? And here's the other question for the Irish. The committee seeds the top 8. Then geography is a big factor in determining matchups. So, you know Ohio State's going to host. Does that mean Notre Dame has to go to Columbus? Leo shot saved by Jamison.
Coach Myers would lose it. It's like, hey, we put this.
Kevin Corrigan might lose it too.
Exactly. But again, like, I'd feel worse for Ohio State than Notre Dame. They lost their game here in the first round of the tournament, right?
Yeah.
So, but
two-time defending champions. That's your reward for winning the Big Ten, right? Another turnover by Duke.
No.
And Syracuse gives it right back. McGuire. And I think the big question, and we'll see if it is a question, Harvard and Army potentially fighting for that last at-large spot. On the surface, it looks like those two, and their RPI at the moment entering today only separated by 1. Harvard RPI 11, Army 12. I think objectively, you say Harvard has the better resume, but the committee's always snuck in usually one curveball that we don't see and don't expect every year. There's Cusalito. Bounce shot, save McCool, loose in front, and picked up by Grace.
And Duke taking too many shots from the outside. Credit Syracuse's defense from really handling the one-on-one matchups and forcing them into low-quality shots. And again, when you have McCool and Cage, who's playing the way that he is, like, you give that shot up like gladly because he's going to make that save, and then you can push in transition.
You highlighted Duke's ball movement on offense Friday. How does it compare today?
I don't think you're seeing it at the same level. Look, credit Syracuse because they're not sliding. They just don't feel the need to allow Duke to make those passes.
There's a chance. Spallina to the left hand. First goal by either team in the second quarter.
This all starts with McCool and Cage. Like, he's just too good to be taking those outside shots. Then off the ground, Spallina, the nice patience. Looked like he was almost going to fire that behind the back, right? I thought he wanted it there. Duke bit. He moved to his left hand, increases his angle. Syracuse now the 2-goal lead.
Joey Spallina, 30 goals on the season, closing in on 50 assists on the season. Came into the game 3rd in Division I in assists. He's got one more year of eligibility left at Syracuse, and he will very much have a chance to break Mike Powell's career points record. That's going to belong to Duke. Back Christmas. Dangerous long pole in transition, but he's going to run off. And Duke will go to its first midfield. We haven't called Tomas Delgado's name much in this second quarter. He gets a touch.
And I think he was the best option early in the game, right? He was the one who was getting a step, making Syracuse slide.
Here is Molliver against Juan. Delgado. A hat trick Friday, 2 goals against Virginia. He's got 1 today. And that's going to be on Duke. A hold. Here comes Syracuse the other way. English. The Orange have a trailer. Dwan. He's got 12 career goals. We saw him hit one on Friday. Now, Matt, I think back to a few years ago when Duke made a run to championship weekend, and a similar late season ascent like Tomas Delgado we saw from Nikai Montgomery.
Look, I mean, Sergio Perkovic, when he was at Notre Dame, right? Like, I think he had more experience throughout the course of the season, but kind of came out of nowhere for Notre Dame. So it happens. And teams, you know, not often is it you're finding big-time contributors late in season, but it's not unheard of.
Turnover by Syracuse, then Johnson could not come up with it. It goes back to the Orange, and that's a fresh 80 because Duke had possession. Less than 5 minutes to go, first half. Second meeting of the season between these two. Duke 1 in Durham. Hiltz, Leo, good look, too high. And Jamison got a piece, so the shot clock resets to 60.
But right there, nice offense. Again, Syracuse initiating, making Duke slide. Their matchups are compromised, and then when Syracuse gets you rotating, their stick skills, their lacrosse IQ, they're going to put some pressure on you.
Timeout, John Danowski. Matt, the goalies have come to play on this Sunday. Jamison, 8 for 12. McCool, after the 20-save game Friday, 7 of 9.
Yeah, I mean, both goalies. I mean, McCool, again, his positioning, his body, and how he attacks the ball is crazy. But both sides, I mean, look at these goalies right there. McCool out arguing with the refs, gets back in the cage. Very different styles, right? Jamison's very quiet, doesn't move much, stays on the goal line. McCool, very active, cutting off angle. 2 of the best in the game, and right now they've played, look, 78% in the cage for McCool, and Jamison, 8 saves. Now, I think Jamison has seen harder shots, right? I think Syracuse is generating higher quality opportunities, and then Syracuse on the other side has made Duke take some shots from the outside that McCool is eating them up.
That's one of the subplots when we get into the round 1 next week. There's going to be some tremendous goalie play in this NCAA tournament. You talk about McCool, Jamison, Richard Daly at Notre Dame, the Big Ten goalies, Big Tasty at Ohio State. I know McNaney had an off game for Maryland, but when Logan McNaney has played a full season for Maryland, they've played on Memorial Day.
Right, look, he's in the conversation.
Brassian at Penn State.
I mean, look, yeah, it's loaded. Every team, at least at the top end, high-quality goalies.
Yeah.
Like, you can't compete without it.
Army's got a stud. The All-ACC team will have pre- and post-game shows for Friday's ACC softball semifinals and Saturday's championship game. It all begins Friday at 12:30 Eastern. And about 4:44 plus stoppage time, we have halftime on site. Justin Walters, Jules Henningberg standing by. By the way, yesterday Jules Henningberg's birthday, so happy birthday, Jules. Wouldn't tell us how old he is, but we can look it up. Don't try to put that 3, though, as the first number. Here comes Leo using the Spallina pick.
Now, Syracuse here, you have Spallina with a short stick. I'd get the ball behind and let him go to work. He is very dangerous because he can pass the ball so well off the dodge and against a short stick.
He's got Jack Gray. Spallina dancing with Gray. Menendez comes to help. Now picked up by Menendez. Leo matched up with Charlie Johnson. Johnson has been an eraser this season. Hiltz had the 5 goals on Friday and the first tally of this game. He was winning a lot of these one-on-one matchups. Hiltz against Gray. Hiltz looking to get inside, flying into the crease, flag down.
shot clock.
Yeah, Matt, was he pushed in, or did it look like Hiltz initiated that leap?
As a former offensive player, you know, I like the call, but it's a terrible call, in my opinion. Like, where was Hiltz going, right? He absolutely launched himself. When you duck underneath, if you put yourself in the position where you run out of daylight, you shouldn't get bailed out by the officials.
This is dangerous for Duke. Syracuse has been lethal with the extra man. Duke has struggled with its man-down defense all season. Spallina's been a big finisher on the man-up. Hiltz with his through passing becomes a weapon. Here's Hiltz over to Leo. Hiltz to Finn Thompson. Spallina from the wing, catch and release. And they say Syracuse ball. Leo closest to the ball when and where, and went out of bounds. Full strength. Trey Deer exits. Sam English enters for Syracuse. Leo against Wilson. At Spallina with the pick if he wanted it. Feed front behind the back shot to score. Finn Thompson, his second of the game.
When we talk about passing somebody open and talking about how that's Syracuse's calling card, this is the exact example you're looking for. Leo, right? Like, I mean, Finn Thompson just kind of slowly gravitates away from his defenseman, and then Leo just throws it to him on the dime, and then the behind-the-back release. I mean, this is going to be an amazing angle. There's not one cradle in that motion. He caught it on his right shoulder, and then in one fell swoop gets it off over his back shoulder, near side, high to high. Syracuse right now has to feel good about how they're able to compete and how on offense they're clicking on all cylinders.
Now Mullen wins the faceoff. We've seen it time and again. Finn Thompson, one of the most creative finishers in the ACC. Dana?
Yeah, frustration from the Duke sideline, specifically defensive coordinator Ron Caputo. They want to expand the perimeter in which Syracuse starts their attack from. They're so slick in the inside. You get a feeling that they're not quite in the hands of some of those playmakers.
That's that Canadian flavor, right? Tight spaces, great hands. Finn Thompson, a Canadian. Obviously the head coach, Gary Gate, a Canadian. Here's Anderson. Looking for Spallina. Big ground ball. Spallina.
What a ground ball.
Comes up with it. Boyer all over him. Hiltz, another Canadian.
That ground ball was awesome from Spallina there. A nice job boxing Boyer out, and then the one-handed pickup, and then moving it quickly to create offensive opportunity.
15 seconds on the shot clock. McCarthy gets by McGuire. Cyclones it back to X. Here's Spallina working on Boyer. 3 to shoot. 2-1. Spallina shoots. Missed the cage. Shot clock violation. You brought up a great point about Spallina off the air on Friday. You said you love him as an indoor player at the next level.
Look, I think his game fits it so well. His stick skill, his physicality. Look, you watched him play in the World game. He was one of the best players in the world at that. And he's like, not even like, yes, he plays a lot, but imagine what happens when he starts playing in the NLL. Like, he will be a top 5 pick in that draft when his time is up, time comes.
Duke looking for its first goal of this second quarter. They haven't had many shots in this second quarter. Only 4 shots, 0 for 4, 6 turnovers.
And those 4 shots were turnovers. I mean, if you really think about it, not one of them was a high-quality shot. McCool easily saved them, so I credit to Syracuse defense. I know there's all the talk about what Duke has done in their last 4 or 5 games on the defensive end, but Syracuse equally as great.
Sloat, McAdory, hand-free, McCool save. That was one of the best looks Duke has had in a while. Carter Rice the other way for the Orange. Over to Spallina. 30 seconds. And a timeout by Syracuse. Looked like Dewan may have been ready to pull.
The release over his back shoulder, Jamison doesn't even move because the release was so quick.
Duke shooting just 2 for 15. And again, defensively, Duke's been fine.
Yeah. Look, I think Syracuse, though, is putting pressure on him. I look, it's on the defensive end for Syracuse. Okay, that last shot was probably the best quality scoring opportunity for Duke. And then you get McCool and Cage, who makes a sliding off-hip save. And so when you have elite goalie play, they're going to make all the saves you know that they need to make, and then they're going to steal a few. That's how you make a run for a national championship.
One thing the ref just told Vicky and I overheard, so I'm going to say it.
This is a little different in terms of what we saw from Duke compared to Friday night when, offensively, they had North Carolina's defense spinning.
They were moving the ball. Right now, it doesn't seem like they have that clicking, right? You need to see either Johnson or Sloat or Delgado initiating and moving the ball quick and attacking to the backside. They just haven't had that offensive efficiency just yet. And Syracuse, again, I think it's because they're slow to slide. They're going to say, hey, if you want to score on a dodge, like, we'll take our chances with Teddy McCool and Cage. You take a shot from the outside on the run, like, he's going to save it 70% of the time. And they're okay with that.
And the one guy who has been winning his matchups for Duke, we haven't called his name much in the second quarter. That was Delgado. Here comes Hiltz. Defended well. Henry Bard pokes it loose. 2-on-2 battle for the ground ball. Matt Christmas with the suction.
It's going to be Syracuse ball here. Christmas glove fell off.
And you can't play without equipment. 5.5 seconds. They're going to give it back to Duke. McAdory's waiting for the cavalry.
Not sure.
Not a lot of time. Here is McAdory against English, and he puts it through! May the 4th be with you.
You had your window and you took it. Nice awareness. Again, interested to see why Duke had possession there after Christmas glove fell off. But McAdory with the short stick fading away. I mean, this is throw it towards the crease and get the screen.
That's a three-pointer, Matt. That's a three-pointer.
Look, at the end of goals at the end of quarters should be worth 2. And then when you're fading away towards the midfield line, shooting it towards a crowded crease area, yeah, we'll give you 3 for it.
I mean, he's behind the restraining line.
That's how you beat McCool.
And that is the first goal of this second quarter for Duke. Second of the game for McAdory. Time expires. If you're John Danowski, if you're the Duke Blue Devils, that's a momentum goal by McAdory going into halftime.
You can use that as a speaking point. On the flip side, Syracuse be like, look, the only way they can score is kind of on a fluke goal. So again, to me, I think that first half, Syracuse, I thought they were great. And coming into the game, I thought Duke was going to be able to kind of build off the momentum they had from the Friday win against North Carolina with some of their ball movement, and like maybe they found their genius on the offensive end. Credit Syracuse for matching that and feeling confident and comfortable in their one-on-one matchups and making it hard for Duke to create offense.
Finn Thompson area, kind of a desperation fadeaway to make it 5-3, and now Syracuse jumps to begin the third quarter, so Duke ball. Dana, what did you learn at halftime?
Well, offensively for Duke, speaking to Coach Janowski, he felt like they played really tight in that first half. Anytime they did get an offensive possession, it was rushed. They threw the ball away. They got to handle the physicality of the Syracuse defense better. And then on the flip side, defensively for Duke, they want to keep Syracuse out of the paint. He also was disappointed in the clear there. Stepped off the line, stepped off sides. Got to be more disciplined in the clear.
All right, thank you, Dana. Here is Ben Johnston, spins to the left. The back up to McAdory.
But I like that shot for Johnson. He kept it up high, right? Like McCool and Cage, he's so thoughtful in his approaching. Uh-oh, here comes
Figueres slips. McAdory, that's a save. Rebound loose, it comes to the orange. Ankle sold separately.
McAdory showing why his name will be called early in the PLL draft. He's got to finish that one, had an opportunity. But again, that's McCool and Cage active, coming out, applying a little pressure, and so McAdory tried to get too cute with his shot and too precise and rung it off the post, I believe.
Finn Thompson, 2 goals for Syracuse. Spallina, Hiltz, and McCarthy with the others. McAdory has 2 of the Duke 3. Delgado, who's come alive here in Charlotte, also has a tally. Boyer shading Menendez, or rather English. Over to Leo. McGuire on him. 23 in white, the ACC Co-Defensive Player of the Year. Shared the honor with Notre Dame's Sean Light. Spallina against Johnson. 2 all-ACC players. Spallina shoots, did not have much. And the save made by Jamison. Jamison has kept Duke within striking distance, 9 saves now.
Both keepers playing great in very different styles, but both equally effective. And something I've noticed for Duke, right? We were talking about Tomos Delgado.
Well, they got to get it across, and they barely do. No, they did not. You got to get it across the midfield line before the shot clock hits 60. Now a flag. Now, Matt, I initially thought he was over.
It looked like he was over right in the nick of time.
Let's go.
The refs disagreed, and then it's going to be a delay of game penalty would be my guess.
Yeah.
White 55. 55 white, delay of game. 30 seconds. Blue ball, midfield.
So a man-up opportunity for Syracuse, which came into the game connecting at better than 50% with the EMO.
And let's see if they're able to get it over the midfield line. To me, that looks like tie does not go to the runner, apparently at the 22nd over the midfield line.
Now the ball has to be over if any part of the player's body, though, is on the other side, and that does not count. So if the ball's in air and it's over, that's okay. Man-up opportunity for Syracuse. Hiltz to Finn Thompson. Leo, who's got 2 assists already, 4 in this ACC tournament. Now Hiltz. Syracuse 0 for 2. Thompson has it. Over to Hiltz. Leo, doorstep, shot, turned away. Christmas comes up with it for Duke. So, yeah, this Blue Devils man-down defense, much maligned coming into Charlotte. They've held Syracuse 0 for 3 today.
And that was big-time save from Jamison in the cage. That was, kind of the wrinkle there for Syracuse.
Now Duke's got a chance. Kershus, Molliver, Figueres got in there.
But the wrinkle there for Syracuse, a couple hidden ball tricks, got Duke rotating and generated a high-quality shot, but you got 2 of the best goalies in the country playing here today.
Let's see if they go to Delgado.
So something I've noticed here, on Friday, they ran Delgado out of the box 3rd. Today they're running him out 2nd, and you're seeing them try to initiate with Sloat a little bit more, and they're not giving him the head start out of the box.
Delgado to McAdory. Figueres, Syracuse's top defender, checking McAdory. Johnston now from the high wing. Gets to the middle, fires offline. McAdory the backup.
I'd still like to see Duke initiate against the shorts to get the ball moving around, and then have Johnston or Sloat or Delgado initiate the offense in the dodge.
McAdory serpents around the crease. Shrugs off Figueres. Shot clock at 15. Sloat, wing dodge, turns back. Delgado, that one's saved by McCool. Ochoa has it for Syracuse. They'll run. This is Jake Spallina. 2 goals for Finn Thompson. And Rebarred defending Hiltz.
Better offensive set from Duke there, but I also think equally as good defense from Syracuse. Doing a nice job clamping down on the inside.
Wyatt Hoddle slips. Gray with the cause turnover. Here he comes. Gray accelerates, feeds the wing. McAdory comes back to Johnston. Recovers, bounce shot, score. 1-goal game.
We thought Syracuse was going to have to generate offense in the middle of the field in the slow break and transition opportunities. In reality, I think it's Duke that has to initiate more in the unsettled, and right here, the nice job pushing in transition, being patient. Johnson staying with the ground ball there, and then the bounce shot near side. Look at McCool, he goes, he reads it. He's gonna drop here. Look at that wide stance. And then the spinner, and you're gonna see Johnson turns the top of his hand over on that release and is able to generate some English on that ball, and they work on that. When you're playing on these turf fields, you absolutely work on putting spin, especially on the run. And Johnson pulls it off perfectly there.
And Johnny Racusa wins the faceoff. Over to Spallina, fire save. Jamison. He's starting to sense momentum, swing to her to Duke.
Good goalie play goes a long way. I mean, both these goalies have been so good. Syracuse is going to be what looks like offsides here. So Duke will go on the man up.
And they've got 7 on defense, so they'll just keep 7 out there.
At times it can kind of cause chaos, right? Because the attackmen are not overly comfortable playing defense, even if it's 7-on-6. So you oftentimes just send them the crease. What Syracuse is doing here is they have Hiltz actually shutting off, and now Duke's going to come after this.
Here comes Graham Blake, Harvard transfer.
Yeah, I would pick behind. I would go after Hiltz if I'm Duke.
Hiltz right now trying to stay with Papendick on the crease. Blake controls.
I'd get it to Papendick. I'm not sure why they're not attacking there.
Cusalito, 15 to shoot. It is a free possession. McAdory against Figueres.
They're just going to eat it here.
Looking for the crease feed for Papendick. It's too high, and now we get the penalty call, and Duke will go man up. First extra man opportunity of the game for Duke.
Blue, 7-7, offsides, 30. Shot clock to 60.
Charged to 77. He gets 30 seconds for the home side.
91, the Richmond transfer Luke Graham in on the extra man. Oh, a chance here off the skip. That shot blocked. Boy, English ate that one off the stick of Ben Johnston. Graham dumps it to Sloan. His pass tipped. McAdory can't corral. It's a tip ball. McAdory near the sideline with Grace, who uses his size to come up with the ground ball.
Just too early in the offensive set there for that skip pass from Sloat. You need to get the ball moving, humming along the outside, make the defense expand and contract to open up the passing lane. Sloat just a little early in the possession for my liking.
8 minutes to go, third quarter. Roa wheels down the alley, plays it back to X. Hiltz on the invert. Jamison comes out of the cage. Leo works on Wilson. Wilson not ceding an inch. Leo, Syracuse's best one-on-one Dodger. He's got 4 assists in this ACC tournament. Leo getting inside, falling down. The goal is good.
Michael Leo. The midfielder is probably their biggest threat as an initiator. Predominantly left-handed, ducks underneath. Now cuts up the field and the patient dodge. Gets one.
Billy Ward off the Randy Stotts feed to tie, and then with a second left, Kevin Rice to Donahue. What a combo that was. You got the great Jordan Wolf at Duke. The further you go back in the archives, man, the names, the legends get greater and greater.
Two of the best and most important programs in college lacrosse history, and really, you know, Duke's emergence over the last 2 decades.
Now, we know how great Jordan Wolf was, part of championship teams at Duke. But Kevin Rice, one of the more underrated players to come out of Syracuse.
He played his part perfectly.
Peyton Anderson, marked by Gray. The big freshman. Gray is senior out of California. Spallina teed up by Charlie Johnson.
Who's won?
Now Hiltz goes to work on Gray. Spallina from X. Anderson, lefty, going low to beat Jamison. 3-point game for Joey Spallina. Anderson with his 10th goal of the season.
Back-to-back goals for Syracuse. This is great offense, and again, I love what Spallina's doing. Like, again, he's not initiating the offense, but here, he's gonna get X. Now Duke is slit. Now Spallina is at his best as a feeder, has you hung up, and then Anderson through a number of bodies, right? Look at this. Jamison's not gonna be able to see this release. Right, McGuire with the screen. You can see Jamison look at him and say, look, I just couldn't see the ball. But again, that's all a result of crisp passing for Syracuse. Great offense, initiating early on, making Duke slide, and then making them pay.
7-4, Syracuse on top of Duke. The 3-goal lead for the Orange matches the largest of the game. There's Cal Gerard. Gerard missed the cage. Curtius the backup. Curtius, 55 and white, a 5-star freshman. And we've started to see him find his footing down the stretch. He began the season starting on attack, then he got moved to the second midfield, and then back on attack. And has played well down the stretch.
And again, Duke going with their second midfield here. After a lot of defense, you think you would normally run your first middies out, but I think Coach Janowski understands, like, look, this game matters, but he's trying to get meaningful minutes to his second midfield line because they're going to be an important part of the potential run. So, like, thinking bigger picture would be my guess.
Takeaway by Dwan. How many times, Matt, have we said, usually we say it on Memorial Day, where that's when the second midfield comes through. That's when, you know, it matters. You can get away with not getting a ton of production from your second midfield, but on Memorial Day, it seems that the teams that win on Memorial Day, they get that secondary production.
They're not a weakness, right? I mean, oftentimes teams that can't make the run, they run their second midfield up. Maybe they don't score, but oftentimes there's a turnover and the ball goes the other direction, and you're like, wait a minute, we can't do that now, and then you run your starters into the ground.
In this third quarter, Syracuse 2 for 5 shooting, Duke 1 for 8. Roa using the pick. McGuire all over him. Hilt size up. Roa, rocker step, gets to the middle, draws the slide, feeds the wing in English, 25 to shoot.
You just see a lot more movement from Duke on the defensive end with their slides and having to recover. Syracuse doing a better job applying pressure at the point of initiation.
English got the shorty, now picked up by Menendez, the pole. Shot clock at 10. Leo, alley dodge is not there. Looking for the crease feed, it's knocked down by Johnson and scooped by the freshman Menendez.
But I like that opportunity, right? Again, it was a good offensive set. Did they generate a high-quality opportunity? No, but they made Duke work. They moved the ball, and there Leo just did a nice job knowing the shot clock was down. Like, take a chance. That almost got through to Thompson.
We're about to see the first midfield, and now they're going to run Delgado on third, Matt. You said he'd been coming on second. Now he'll run off third.
And so now he's going to get the ball out of the box with a head of steam. Right now, look at the run. See, now he's going to have a 15-yard head start, and Syracuse is going to have to slide.
There comes Delgado. He has some sizzle and shake to him.
Do you see that, right? Like, he's a much more effective dodger when he's running full speed from the midfield line.
Dwan all over Molliver, 35 in blue, plays with a mean streak. Curtius working on Grace. Molliver from X has Dwan hung up. Crease feed, Delgado, what a pass, what a finish.
But just a better offensive set for Duke, right? Like, that goal happened 20 seconds after Delgado's initial dodge. That doesn't mean they're not related. And so he did a nice job early on in the offense, applying pressure. And now they've got Syracuse out of sorts. A nice job from Curtis, dodging up. And now you have Malver with his hands free. And a nice touch pass for Delgado. When defenses get tired on extended possessions, it opens up the world for you in the crease as an offensive player. Duke needs more of that.
You know, you forget because Delgado hadn't been a factor for much of the season. This was a top 10 recruit coming out of high school. His older brother, AJ, played at Duke. Another brother, Lucas, who plays college lacrosse. How about the stretch that he's been on? 2 goals against Virginia in the regular season finale. 3 goals and an assist Friday. 2 goals today. That's basically his season production, save for an assist that came in the first 13 games.
And Duke was looking for that third midi, especially with the move of McAdory to attack. It's usually, again, because like most teams have one really good D midi, they don't oftentimes have 2, right? And that's why it's such a key piece to an offense, is to have that third midi be able to put pressure on and initiate offense. It's the most favorable matchup you probably have on the 6-on-6.
Yeah, and again, Matt Delgado's now in a position where, being the new guy, he's going to get the short stick. Hiltz shoots, and that one trickles through. Second goal of the game for Hiltz, his 7th here in Charlotte.
Owen Hiltz, his 41st of the season, has scored on his, Syracuse has now scored on their last 3 shots. But again, this is what I love about it. He's getting a short stick matchup. He's applying pressure. The first matchup against Notre Dame, he took it to the rack time after time, and today, much of the same. When they get Spallina and Hiltz doing their stuff off ball that they're so good at, but you get them involved in some of the initiating, like, they're just a different offense.
Spallina, a junior, Hiltz, a 5th-year senior. Mullen wins the faceoff. McCarthy hacking him from behind. 2:20 to go, 3rd quarter. Duke beat Syracuse and Durham a few weeks ago. Selection Sunday is today. Selection show tonight. Turnover by Syracuse. The women's bracket unveiled at 9. The men's bracket unveiled at 9:30. At last check, looked like Colgate was on its way to knocking off Boston University and winning the Patriot League. So that would be the 8th automatic qualifier, the 8th ticket punched. And then we've got the A-Sun, and we've got the Ivy League. Cornell and Princeton over on ESPNU with Connor, Kark, and Quint, and they'll head up to Bristol after the game. Here comes Graham Blake. Gets inside. McCool clamps down.
And McCool doing a nice job being patient there, and then a last second actually engaging Blake. They were very disciplined on the defensive end. They didn't throw the early check. They stayed patient, and then Blake got so close to McCool, and with how he plays on the arc, he's going to make that save the majority of the time.
Colgate up comfortably on Boston University. Utah in the fourth quarter with a 1-goal lead on Air Force in the ASUN championship. How about the Utes looking for a third straight trip to the NCAA tournament? Young program. Hoddle speeds to X. You heard run away with McGuire all over him.
Let's find another matchup and go after that one.
Hey, sometimes discretion over valor. Leo puts his body into Nolan. Feed to Spolina, backhanded shot saved. Fresh 60, but there's only a few seconds to go. English, backhanded shot off the pipe from Thompson. He almost did it again.
I didn't know who had the ball. I thought it was Menendez's stick, and it was Thompson wrapped around Menendez. But that pass from Leo, like the subtle box fake that he threw, opened up the passing lanes and gets it to Spolina on the crease.
When we go to quarter number 4, ACC champ.
Coach Janowski playing a lot of defense. How do you string together some offensive possessions here?
Well, we got to win a couple of face-offs. Got to pick up some ground balls. We're holding Syracuse to 8 goals after 3 quarters. It's not, it's not terrible, but they've done a great job, possession. They play, very deep into the clock, and they're very highly skilled. The face-off thing has been a problem. We had an opportunity there with a shot on goal with Cal Gerard. We don't make it. Sometimes it's just about making plays. And so we need to win some more face-offs, pick up some ground balls, and then shoot to hit the net.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Here in Charlotte, it is Syracuse ball to begin. The Orange have won 12 in a row when leading after 3, 9-0 this season. And they've won 86 consecutive games when holding opponents below 10 goals.
So with that stat, like keys to the game for Syracuse, if it's anything other than keep a team under 10 goals the remainder of the season, right? Like we're missing the point.
Now Duke has held 5 straight opponents below 10. Roa and English play catch. Here's a chance. Roa off the pipe. Shot clock reset. It's going to be Duke ball, though.
Menendez was closest to the sideline where it went out. Bad break, quite frankly, for Syracuse. But again, that's great offense.
Bard coughed it up.
And Spolina.
That's the ride. Spolina ambushed. Kaczynski trying to get away from Delgado. That's a big ride back there for Syracuse.
Joey Spolina's shown me something today with, not being the biggest or the fastest, but man, is he playing tough. Like that ground ball, that ride, it's multiple opportunities throughout the game where he's gotten extra possessions for the Syracuse team, and that usually results in something good.
Second to midfield on the field for Syracuse. Anderson gets to the middle. Spolina against the LSM, Matt Christmas.
I think you go to English here at the top, or no, it's McCarthy, 13. He's getting some more run today with the success, especially in the second midfield, but he's been bumped up to the first midfield a couple different times.
Anderson draws the slide, was looking inside for Thompson. Ball is loose, shoveled toward the sideline. Thompson recovers, 10 to shoot.
It's an extra opportunity, and Syracuse has had more of those.
Spolina's bouncer from long range, saved by Jamison. Quick outlet, Christmas.
And don't love that shot from Spolina because now Duke can push in transition.
Christmas to McAdory, tough pass. Big ground ball here. The Orange have it, but we're going to get a whistle, loose ball push on Syracuse. That's a break for Duke. They've been playing defense this entire quarter so far, almost gave it up, and now a flag at the end of the play.
I think Warrington dove for that, and they called a push. I don't think there was anyone from Syracuse near him.
Got blue 11, delay game, 30 seconds. Blue 11, delay, 30.
That's on Riley Figueres, junior from Maryland. Top cover defender for Syracuse. So man-up chance now for Duke, trying to cut into this 3-goal deficit. Yeah, that's going to be a penalty on Figueres. It's supposed to be a quick restart, then you throw the ball away, hence the delay of game. McAdory to Papendick. Johnston plays it to Graham. Now Molliver. 3 assists today.
And now they're changing sides of the field. They're making Syracuse.
Molliver, Johnston, shot on the run, score! Big Ben makes it 8-6.
There's that left-handed shot going upstairs. You can see McCool. He knows, again, albeit he can shoot righty-lefty, but his strong hand, predominant hand is a righty. Goes to his left. Gets his 26th goal of the season. Not often you see a split dodge on a man up. But Johnston from Lake Forest, Illinois. Number 1 with the great handle here up top from the pass from Oliver. And now he runs and goes upstairs. You can see McCool drop his hands right here. He knows he's coming left. The scout said he's going to go low, and then he releases it 3/4 to the top bar. That's a big-time shot. Not many players in college lacrosse have an offhand where you can do that. He is one of them.
Yeah, do you call it an offhand? We've seen him go to his left so many times. Johnston came into the game shooting 8 for 46, 17% in his last 7, but he scored some big goals, including the game winner against Virginia in overtime. That's the reason Duke is here.
Is Duke in the tournament if they lose that game, right?
Great question.
Especially with Army losing.
2-goal game. We come up on 11.5 to play. Syracuse has led for most of the game. It was 2-1 Duke at one point, and then the Orange reeled off 4 straight. They have not trailed since it was 3-2.
Syracuse running the second midfield a lot today, too.
Quick turnaround. Johnson meets Spallina. Now Wilson on the switch.
Now, I'm Spallina, I'm patient here, right? You did the hard work. You ran the 2-man game. Now you have the favorable matchup. Be patient. Now this good motion.
Anderson from the wing.
It's a great time for him to roll back.
Using his body, getting inside. Is the goal good as Anderson rumbles into the crease? Long discussion. The goal counts. 2 for Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. But this is, again, a result of a long possession with multiple passes, multiple changing of the fields of attack. Now, look, that's that pass right there from Hiltz. He won't get the goal, but now there's no one on this side of the field to slide. And Anderson makes him pay. I thought he was going to roll back to his left hand, but he kept going. And we're going to take a look here. Does any part of his body touch the goal mouth?
I don't think he's in the goal mouth.
Does his left foot go in? I don't know. Does not look like Coach Danowski's going to challenge. I don't think he'd like the results of that challenge either.
That is a play that you can challenge. 10:54 to go, 4th quarter. Lead back up to 3 for Syracuse. This is where Syracuse gets tough. Mullen wins the faceoff, shoots. Jamison stops.
How good has Jamison been? I mean, these goalies.
14 saves now for Jamison.
If you really think about like any player, right, like on a team that can win you a championship, right, like CJ Kerr, sure, but like I think a great performance for a goalie is the difference maker, right? Like when my freshman year,
Tillman Johnson,
like there was a lot of good players on that field. He was like in a whole other world.
Yeah.
And you can win a championship and be the most impactful player on the field, particularly in lacrosse as a goalie.
Yeah, that Hopkins team that you guys beat, Kyle Harrison,
Doniger.
Was Bobby Benson on that team?
Benson was on that team. Doniger was on that team. Pizer was on that team. Kyle Berry at the time had a first-team All-American campaign. I mean, that team was loaded. And like Tillman Johnson literally just at the beginning of the game, I was like, uh-oh, they're in trouble because he was seeing it. And he just played lights out.
Well, that was in Baltimore, home of the Ravens.
That field.
You had rain, it was muddy, and Tillman Johnson, much like Sovereignty yesterday, was made for the mud.
That was, I mean, I've never played on a playing surface like that. They had just swapped it out, and they brought in a bunch of red clay. It was something, you know, my weight tended to help me out because I sunk into the mud a little bit more than most, but it was a tough playing surface.
That was the first championship weekend I attended, and I still have not witnessed a goalie performance on that stage to the likes of Tillman Johnson. Oh, that one missed. Thompson looking for the hat trick.
Dude, Syracuse's ability to throw that skip diagonal pass as they're sweeping to the middle with Thompson backing out the left side, Leo backing, like, not many teams can do that and be that effective with it.
Here's Anderson. He's got two. Pinballs off McGuire. Hiltz marked by Bard. Anderson giving him the pick. Hiltz doesn't want it. McCarthy with a goal today. Only his third of the season. Shot clock inside of 10. Spallina with Johnson all over him. Spallina draws the slide. Shot blocked. Shot clock violation. Now they'll let Duke play. Here comes Luke Warrington, the freshman. Skips to McAdory. Slight hesitation. Gets to the middle, draws attention. Over to the wing. Syracuse got back. Good transition defense by the Orange. Here's Christmas. Spout shot high. That was just the second shot of this fourth quarter by Duke.
Now you have Christmas being guarded by Spallina, caught on defense, so they're going to play 5-on-5 here.
McAdory question mark. It'll stay with Duke. Curtius will trigger against Grace.
Duke going with their second midfield again.
Blake against Jake Spallina. A Harvard transfer. Crunched, well-timed slide. Dwan had his stick tangled, still able to get it. And now here comes the Cuse. Three-goal lead. We come up on 7.5 to play.
Yeah, it appears Duke as a team is gassed. They're coming out of the box right now. Henry Bard and Aiden McGuire are sitting on the bench. They're taking breathers. They're taking Gatorade. Not happening on the Syracuse side, so it appears Duke's a little bit tired out here.
And Matt, they've played a lot of defense.
Syracuse they're facing off well. They're getting the extra possessions. Their offensive sets are also more deliberate and more drawn out, and they're making Duke work a lot more than the inverse of that on the other side of the field.
English isolating Nolan. Here comes Sam. Back to X. Skip past Leo. Face dodge. Syracuse resets. Shot clock winding down. Hilt slips. Absorbs a body blow. And that's going to be Duke ball.
But again, so let's look at that, like, big picture. That was a full shot clock, right? They're up by 3. Their defense is playing well. That's disciplined lacrosse. And Duke's going to run out of time if they get, Duke's only going to get a few more possessions if they can get clears.
Only 2 shots in this quarter for Duke. And we are almost 9 minutes in. 10 has been the magic number for Syracuse. Johnston 2 goals today. Second on the team in goals behind Molliver. Here comes Sloat. He had 2 goals in the semis. Delgado's been the breakout star of the weekend.
Too much congestion up front from Duke there. If you're dodging for the middies, you can't have all 3.
Kirsch's top side, and he scores.
It's hard to create offense when you have all 3 middies taking up the same space. But what it does do is open up dodging opportunities from behind the cage. Kirsch's, the 5-star recruit, coming on strong here at the end of his freshman campaign. Has the short stick matchup, the little hesitation step, the extra step up. He knows he's going to pay the price. Gets us within 2. 9-7 Syracuse.
ACCN.
Both defenses have played well. Both goalies have played well. McCool, 10 saves for the Cuse, 14 for Patrick Jamison of Duke. Anish Shroff, Matt Ward, Dana Boyle. Matt, when you and I walked away from the ACC tournament a year ago, our feeling was, who is beating Notre Dame? Notre Dame beat Virginia by 9 in the semis last year, beat Duke by 10 in the ACC championship, and then basically blitzed the field rounds 1 all the way through the quarters, semis, and championship. Regardless of who wins this game, I'm not sure there is conviction in anybody, forget about the ACC, nationally going into this NCAA tournament, which could make it fun.
Outside of maybe the 1 through 3 seeds where you're like, hey, we think those teams are going to win.
But that's only talking round 1.
Correct. Going forward, if someone were to, what's your final, championship weekend? I literally couldn't tell you who I think. I thought Ohio State looked great last night. But what does that mean next week, right? They may have they may play Notre Dame in the first round.
Right.
It may match up well against them. So it is as open as it has ever been in college lacrosse. I mean, the parity is it's amazing, but the discrepancy or the difference between these teams has never been so close.
Ohio State beat Notre Dame in the regular season, 1-goal game, but again, that was a long time ago.
Goalies can steal a game, right? Like if they're close and your goalie makes 18 saves when theirs makes 15, like there you go.
And we've seen some stellar goalie performances.
It's loaded.
How good was Fiok last night for Ohio State? He's been great all season. Big Tasty.
How do you beat? He takes up the whole goal, and he's athletic and he plays explosive.
I think he's listed at 6'2", 290. McCarthy, not much there. Shot clock at 4 and 3. They got to put it on Cage. Hoddle, his shot saved by Jamison. That's save number 15.
But if I'm Syracuse, I'm cornering that ball because it's easier to clear when the goalie makes a clean save, and now they can push in transition versus get it to the end line, set your ride up, maybe you steal one back. Syracuse has done that a couple times, and those are the 2, I mean, to me, poor decisions they made all day. But again, that offensive possession, the shot clock, Duke's going to run out of time here. And they have to make every possession count as they run their second midfield out again at a critical time of the game.
Yeah, John Danowski sticking to the script there, and a turnover as Cusalito could not handle the bouncer from Oliver. 15 turnovers by Duke. Now we're going to get a whistle. Matt, what do you feel the expectations going into the NCAA tournament should be for the 2 teams we're watching right now?
Look, I don't think they're going to change in belief that they can't win this thing. I mean, they have the talent, they have the defense, they have the goalies to make a run, but like to your point, like we watch some teams play, like they're unbeatable, and then the next quarter, like they're going to get smoked. And I think that's kind of all teams kind of have that, approach or outcome throughout the course of the year this year.
It's a 2-goal game. We come up on 3 minutes to play. You get the sense if Duke doesn't get a stop here, then you probably have to start thinking about pressing out, riding.
And I think they should be playing a little bit more aggressive here as is.
Would you press out right here?
I would.
In a 2-goal game?
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse is going to bleed this clock down, and they'll probably be fine eating. They've won the majority of the face-offs. Like Duke scores, they don't have to probably not worry too much about it.
That's the equalizer for Syracuse. You give up a goal, you have John Mullen at the face-off X. English, bouncer, missed the mark. Syracuse ball with 9 to shoot. Hiltz, the trigger man. Now let's see if they just dump this into the corner or if they make a move. There's a player down. Is that English? Yeah, that is. He is maybe as indispensable a player to Syracuse as there is.
Right, we haven't said his name much today. It doesn't mean he hasn't made an impact, right? He does all the small things in between on the defensive end, the man down. He's an offensive threat. We're going to take a look here as he was getting to the middle of the field. Again, takes that shot. Oh, and gets hit high. Duke's lucky that that's not a 2-minute unreleasable.
Yeah, and the Syracuse contingent just saw that on the big screen. Final seconds of the shot clock. Leo trickles a soft one toward the cage,
but now they're out. Duke's going to clear. 2 attackmen. Like, I just don't, of those, I'd rather set up our ride.
A little more cloud cover now. First midfield on for Duke. Down 2. 2 minutes left. Max Sloat, redshirt sophomore from California. Wheels down the alley. His pass missed the mark. Wanted Molliver. All right, let's see if Duke applies pressure now.
They're going to have to go to a 10-man ride here would be my guess.
About a 9.5-man ride right now. Now Jamison's out.
Now you see Hiltz has come over the midfield.
McCarthy almost went out of bounds, did he? He did.
McCarthy made a mistake there running to the sideline. He actually had Hiltz, the attackman, who had stepped over to provide a passing lane. Walked right into the trap Duke set.
Now if Duke scores here, they're going to have to figure out a way to solve John Mullen, who's won 6 straight faceoffs.
Call timeout here if you're Duke.
John Danowski uses one of his 2 timeouts. Down to 1:37 left. We have seen crazier things in the ACC tournament between these two.
Duke needing to get a possession like you do in basketball. But what you could hear there was they were setting up a pick to be on Johnson, who's going to be starting with the ball. But then here's like, then we're in deuces. Then they're in their offensive set that they're comfortable with. So this is a play to initiate the offense. Maybe you get lucky with the pick on ball, but more likely than not, they're going to try to make Syracuse slide, and then they're just in their standard offense. And then again, Coach Danowski, recognizing teams often go zone, to throw a little wrinkle, and he had those plays drawn up, ready to go.
Matt Danowski, son of head coach John Danowski. Matt, a former Tewaaraton Award winner back in '07. Johnston shoots, shot block, gets his own rebound. Feed in front, behind the back, Kirschus. It'll stay with Duke. Johnston the backup.
It was like Syracuse was in the Duke huddle, though. They knew that pick was coming, and they just switched it. The pick did not apply any pressure to Syracuse's defense.
Sloat whistles one high. Now these two defenses today, they've been as tough as boot leather. 1:10 to go. 50 seconds on the shot clock. Duke trying to make up a 2-goal deficit. Delgado's got 2 goals today. McAdory's had a big game and a rocket from Max Sloat. 9-8 with 1:01 to go.
Duke's third high-quality scoring opportunity of that possession. Sloat gets his first. He's a big shooter from the outside. And right here again, McCool has a tendency to drop. And Sloat keeps it up high. McCool kind of fading away to the far post. And they beat him near side.
And Duke is double polling the face-off wing, so they're ready if Mullen wins this face-off with Christmas and Bard ready to attack.
And Bard and and Christmas can push it in transition. But again, that's the counter to Mullen of wanting 6 straight faceoffs, 11 for 16 on the matchup.
He was 20 of 24 yesterday, wins this one clean. Into the box, and now Syracuse can run out the clock if they can hang on. Gary Gate calls a timeout.
But a nice job from Spallina kind of cheating up the field, and that's where they'll start with possession, and now makes it a lot harder to pull the goalie out of the cage for that double.
And we saw this yesterday. Late in the game, Notre Dame.
One of their best takeaway artists against Spallina, who's pretty good with the stick in his hand as well. But he's going to look to force him down the alley, would be my guess, and then when he may go behind the goal, now here's the double that's coming out.
Syracuse has another timeout if they need it. Shot clock irrelevant. Hiltz playing keep away. Jamison now way out of the cage on the perimeter.
We'll call another timeout here.
Hiltz runs by Jamison. Charlie Johnson in pursuit. Johnson trying to knock it away. Less than 30 seconds to go. And now the timeout to get the second wind for Owen Hiltz. Hey, Duke ball! McGuire and Bard causing the tempest. A chance for the Blue Devils. Boyer across midfield. Duke has a timeout in the can. Here's McGuire. He had the game winner in overtime against Richmond. Gets into the box. Duke uses its final timeout. And let's see what Matt Danowski and this offense can draw up with.
Sometimes, though, it's, you know, do you go with the matchup against the short stick like a Tomas Delgado? Like, give him the opportunity. But again, to me, it looks kind of similar to what they did now. But now what the difference is, looks like they're going to have 2 people set off the pick. Of McAdory and Delgado may come in and try to set that double pick.
Johnston will start with the ball marked by Kaczynski. Here goes Ben Johnston. Had the game winner against Virginia in overtime last week. Feeds it in front. Oliver had the look and missed. And Syracuse wins the ACC tournament.
That was exactly what Coach Danowski drew up. We heard fill that back post, right?